Hello, good morning everyone. This is my video demonstration of socket programming project for CSE434. I'm Dev Patel from group number 78. So this is my server file, the server.py, and this is the code for the server file. And I have created another file for the players and peers, and its code in is in client.py file. Now let's first run the server file. For that I am creating an instance of server file. So let's quickly go to the directory. Stop. Slash. So in this directory we got server.py file. This is host, let's say server host s, let's call it host s, and I'm running this on VMware, so I can create five different instance or five different endpoints, one for the server and four other for the player processes. Now let's run the server file first. So as you can see, the server file is compiled and it says UDP server up and listening. Now let's create another instance for the players. Quickly navigating to the directories. 3, 4, 3 socket, CSC, enter. Now just run the client file for the player. So the client file is running, and as of now it is asking us to give in some details. It says enter the player name. Let's call this host A, which is running. Let's call this as player 1 running on host A. So player 1 is uh, first player is player 1. Then we need to give the ports. I'm in group 78, so my port numbers are from 40,000 to 40,500. For M port, let's give 40,101. For similarity, we can give some for R port 40,102. For P port, we can give 40,103. So now it says we got some options to interact with this server. It says 1 to exit, 2 to query player. Let's try first query the players. So you can see the output here is number of players are 0 and players list is currently empty. Uh, let's just create uh, another instance or host for other players and try to register them, and we can then see the output as well. So this is player host A, this is host B. Let's quickly navigate to the directory. And let's first create instance of four hosts first. Then we can run the program. C. Okay, let's do it again. CD desktop and okay, let me just resize all the screen so you can see it better. Okay, so there are four end hosts. This one is A, this one is host B, this one is host C, and this one is host D. We have already created an instance on host A and we are running the client file. Let's do the same for host B, C, and D as well. Okay, so we have run the code on host B. It says enter player name. Let's give it as player number 2. For M port, let's give 4201. For our port, 4202 and 4203. Okay, let's do this for host C and D as well. Let's call it as player number 3. Its port would be 4301. Its R port would be 4302. Its P port would be 4303. Okay, and same thing for host D as well. Let's call it player number 4. Its port are 4401. Its R port is 4402. Let's give it P port as 4403. Okay, so as we can see on host A, we first tried to query the number of players from the server and says number of players are 0. Let's also query number of games. For that we need to press 4 and it says yeah, number of games are 0 because we have not started anything. Uh, we can For that first we need to register this host A, that is player 1, with the server, and to do that we just need simply type number 3. So it says player 1 and its port server response is successfully registered. We can confirm this with the server side. The server here says this is the server file. The server here says updated players, player 1 and its this port number that we have assigned to it. Now if we query the number of players again, from the server it should give us the player. Let's register player number 3 as well. Okay, so there was some glitch in the server. Maybe my computer is not taking, don't have enough resources, so it's taking time. But yeah, now we can see player 2 is successfully registered, and we also registered player 1 earlier as well. So let's query the player number, query the command of how many players are there on host B. So if we type 2, it says number of players are 2, player 1 and player 2. So let's quickly do the same for uh, host C and D. Let's quickly register them. So for registering a player, we need to just give command 3. We need to enter and it get registered. So player 3 is registered and server response is successfully registered. Uh, let's try to register like since player 3 is already registered, what we can see what happens if we try to register it again. It should give an error, right? So let's type 3 again to register it again, and it says server response is failure. Username is already taken because it is already registered. And to deregister a player, let's suppose a player number 3 don't want to play now. So we just simply need to let's first see if player number 3 is in the servers list. So we can just type 2 to query the number of players. So the server response is yeah, number of players are 3 and we can see player number 3 is in the servers list. So we can deregister the number of deregister player number 3 with the command 5 and it says successfully deregister. And if we type again query to fetch number of players, so we can clearly see player 3 is no longer registered. But and if we try to deregister player 3 again, it should give an error. So I'm typing 5 to deregister and it says server response is error while deregistering. So this error while deregistering can occur if a player is not in the servers list, like it has not registered yet, or it is currently in the game. But we do need player number 3 to be in game, so let's register it again. Just type command number 3 to register, and we can see player number 3 is successfully registered. Let's also register player number 4 on host D. We can simply say num just enter 3 and yeah, it says server response is successfully registered. Let's see from host D how many players are there now. So if we type 2, the response is number of players are 4. Since we have registered 4 players, player 1 to 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4 on 4 different end hosts, that is A, B, C and D. And we can also find how many games are there. So currently we have not started the game, so it is showing number of games are 0. We are done with query player command, query game command, register and deregister. Number command number 1 is to exit, but we don't want to exit now. Let's first start the game. So yeah, to start with the game, let's start with host A. So when we start a game, it asks us to give the number of gives us it asks to give input of number of players. Uh, for Go Fish, the ideal number of players are number 2 to 5. It should give an error if we type something more than 5. Let's say we type 7. We want 7 players to enter the game. So the server responded saying error cannot start the game, right? Because we can only give a range from 2 to 5. Let's do it again. We start the game, but like since we are having 4 hosts, we will give number of players as 4. Okay, so server response is get ready for the game. Current players in the game are player 1, player 2, player 3 and player 4. Uh, let's quickly look do it for other host as well. So since player one started the game, it is a dealer as described in the project description. And when starting a game, the code done do some pre-processing like assigning creating a logical ring through R ports, dealing a dealer deals player to dealer deals the card to every player, uh, and it says current player in the game are from player 1 to 4. Player 1 has index 0 and its card. Player 1 card are 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, and 4. So it got three twos, three threes, and one four. And similarly for player number two, it says it has card like two, three, four, 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 then five. Initially, player number two has number of books as zero. It didn't have any books. Like all the players should have number of books zero. This is player number three, and these are its card like five, six, seven, jack, then queen, q is for queen. And similarly for player number four that is running on host D. Since we started the game by player number one and it is player number one is a dealer, so first chance comes to its next player. So player number two gets the chance to try and hunt the cards from the other players. So all other players are, you can see in the mode of listening. You can see here listening. Player number three is listening. Player number one is listening. Same with player number four. It is also listening. But only player that is catching the card is player number two. So for player number two, it has this cards and number of books is zero. It says enter card to fish, like which card we want to fish. Let's say since we are having three number of fours, let's try to mm, fish number four card. So I just type 4 and enter. So it will update soon. Think- Okay, so this when fishing the card number 4, uh, player player B didn't got any card. It says you got empty list and you are go fish. Basically, the opponent told him go fish since he was not able to grab the card and its current card still remains the same. He is not able to make the catch and number of book is 0. So now since player 2 is done and it's try to catch with player number 3. uh, so here we can see received card being face as 4, that is player number 2 asked card number 4, and since this player don't have any card with number 4, so he says you said go fish, and now it's player number three's turn to say which card he needs to fish. So now player number 3, since there are two fives and two six, let's try with 6. Enter card to fish as 6. 6. So player number 3 also didn't get any catch. Now try with player number 4. Player number 4 has K. So let's try with king. Since player number 1 didn't have any king, so it is also go fish. Now let's try for player like player 4 has go fish. Now let's try for player number 2. Enter card to fish. Let's try number 2. And since it asks player 1 asks player number 2 to give him number of cards, uh, card of ranks 2, and since the player number 2 had the two the card of rank 2, so player 1 did receive it card. It says you entered card to fish as 2 and you got 2. Now its current card are 3 threes and 1 4, and it got a number of books is 1 for player 1, and it since the catch was successful, player 1 gets another chance. uh, let's try to fish card of rank 3 from player number 2 again. So player number 2 said card being fished is 3, and uh, since the player 2 has card number 3, it says you got one card of 3, and now player number 1 has books, 2 books, and it's only left with one card that is of rank 4. So let's try to catch 4. Since this we are playing here with 4 players, so number of um, the winner would have at least 3 books, and if a player reaches the limit of 3, it should be treated as winner. So we can clearly see player 1 has card of rank 4, and player 2 also has 3 cards of rank 4. So when I will type command to get card number 4, or to get 4 to fish, so it should also win another book, and player 1 then will have then 3 number of books, and it would be a winner. So let's do that. Enter card to fish as 4, and we want it from player number 2. So yeah, so player number 2 has given the fish, so you got 4 3 cards of 4, and we created another book, and now we are don't have any cards, and since we got 3 books, so uh, it is clearly a winner. So this got the game. So let me zoom it bit. So it says since player 1 got 3 books, so it says player 1 is a winner and your game has been ended. So now, since we are done with the experiment, let's just deregister for the players, and we can exit the process for the client side or the for player side. Yes, the server still needs to be closed explicitly. We don't have graceful termination for the server process, but For the player processes, we can gracefully terminate. So here the game, it says player 1 is the winner and your game is ended. So since we don't need to play again, so we can just deregister ourselves, that is player 1, from the server. So it says player 1 is successfully deregistered, and we can type query number of players. So now there are only three players. Player 1 is, since we player 1 is deregistered, so only players left are player 2, 3 and 4. And since we are deregistered, we can just terminate the program, and we can just type 1 to exit. So it says, yeah, terminating the program, reach end of the program. So this was the demonstration of Go Fish Solve It project. Thank you very much.